Have I ever told you the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Why do you always talk like that when you say that line? You don't normally talk like that.
That's my voice.
Jeff, we got to grade these movies. We don't have time for this shit right now. Are you ready to go?
No.
Welcome into the Bro Force Squad podcast, Star Wars tournament, where we stand for the Republic for Democracy.
Democracy!
I'm Matt Geiger alongside Senator Jeff Hornacek and the mad scientist Brian Banner, and we're here to find out what is the greatest Star Wars movie ever. To find our bracket and follow along, go to broforcesquad.com. Under the Star Wars Movie Madness category, we're grading this as we grade everything on our 5 criteria, and go to our Twitter at broforcesquad to vote. So, movies, ready? Fight it out! Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back versus Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Let's start off with acting cast. 2, Brian Banner in his lab.
Okay. Empire Strikes Back, fantastic cast. Everybody returns from A New Hope. But I have to go with Force Awakens. First off, you have the old cast. You sprinkle in a bunch of new characters, which I thought everybody was great. Say what you will about Kylo Ren and Adam Driver. I think he was supposed to play the role the way that he played it for future movies so that it makes sense. And yeah, he was a little emo, a little Good Charlotte-y, a little Good Charlotte-esque. But I dug it. I liked it. And I'm going Force Awakens.
Force Awakens up 1-0. Jeff.
So I kind of lamented Mark Hamill's performance in A New Hope. He is much better in Empire Strikes Back. The shit on Dagobah rocks my socks off. I've never said that phrase. Why did I just say it? And Leia and Han have a really good relationship. It really remind me of myself and my ex-wife, Rachel. And I also love Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, who was, I think, a necessary injection of energy in this franchise. Daisy Ridley, still waiting on a lot of unreturned text messages, so I got to go with Empire on this one.
All right, I'll break the tie. Oscar Isaac, Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, Harrison Ford, you can count in there. The only reason I'd give it to Empire is because of Harrison Ford, but he's in this cast too, and honestly, you know how hard it is? I don't know what he's better in, but watch Dumb and Dumber 2 or whatever, where you can't fucking reprise roles that you try to go back to in 10 years. Harrison Ford does a great job in Force Awakens being Han Solo. I laughed in it. I saw it with my dad, who's a big Harrison Ford fan. He was just like, yeah, man, he hasn't missed a beat. Daisy Ridley is going to be huge in Hollywood. I'm kind of with Banner. I shit on Adam Driver, but I think I'm going to wait until this movie comes out in a couple weeks, The Last Jedi, to see what I think about him, but I think he was fine. And 1970s actors, just going to name a few: Clint Eastwood, Paul Newman, Robert Redford. There was great acting performances in the 70s. Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher did not live up to those whatsoever, I don't think. So I'm going to give it to A Force Awakens, up 2-1. Moving on to story, Brian Banner.
Not to discount what you just said, but Empire came out in 1980. Story plot. I am going to give this one to Empire Strikes Back. It's a fantastic story. I think that this movie adds value to the original, where it also leaves us wanting another sequel to finish out the trilogy, which I think is extremely difficult to do as a sequel movie. And no movie has done it definitely no movie's done it better. Some movies may have done it just as good. And then obviously you have the Luke, I am your father scene, which was one of the biggest plot twists I've ever seen in a movie. So has to go Empire.
Nice. 2-2. Who's winning? The Bears. Jeff, to you.
First off, Brian, spoilers. God, about the dad thing. Second off, Geiger named some good 70s actors. Good point about Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. Can't think of one movie they're in the 70s, especially related to this tournament. Third off, in my opinion... Oh, that's weird. In my opinion, Empire is the best story in all of Star Wars. I loved The Force Awakens story. I especially loved it the first time that I saw it in 1977. So I got to go with Empire Strikes Back for story.
Yeah, I do too. Force Awakens is a ripoff, and some things people don't touch on. The villain wins. in the Empire. That doesn't happen very often unless this movie is about villains. And that was something that was never seen back in the day. I guess it was 1980. I stand corrected. But yeah, I'm going to give it to The Empire Strikes Back. Best scene. Jeff, we'll go with you first. 3,
All right,
2,
first off,
Empire.
Brian, I came down a little too hard on you. I used the dark side and my anger, so I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to say it.
I'm sorry.
But best scene, man, this is really tough. I was waffling between the opening scene of Force Awakens just because of the way Kylo Ren fucks up that laser blast. But ultimately, I had to go with. I know this is a long scene to grab, but I'm a selfish person. Like at a buffet, don't get stuck behind me. It'll take a little while. I'm going to go the whole lightsaber fight on Cloud City and Bespin. I'll even exclude the Luke, I am your father line, but the way that looked, everything that I felt with Luke and his dad, and then my favorite part, at the end when he force calls Leia and totally cock blocks Lando, who thinks he's going to hook up with Leia. And she's like, actually, you know what? We have to go back and pick up this other guy. He's like, oh, that's unfortunate. So that's my favorite scene in Empire.
4-2 Empire banner. Best scene.
I'm gonna go with the battle on Hoth. I love that scene. I think that it's really good.
Kitty laser gun?
Yeah. I think that it's just it's one of those movies where one of those scenes where it doesn't have to be the best scene, but it's got to set a tone. Dude,
sure.
The Empire is coming in to fuck up the rebellion, and that scene really, I know it's not the first scene, but it definitely shows you what the stakes are and how hard the rebellion has it. So I'm going with the Hoth scene in Empire.
5-2. Wow. I want to go when Han gets frozen in carbonite. However, I'm going to go with The Force Awakens simply because I've always wondered with the CGI and the technology we have now, what would a Star Wars movie look like? And J.J. Abrams put it to life in one of the first scenes when Finn is a stormtrooper and has the blood across his eye. That scene is fucking fantastically shot, done.
With
Saw
like
it
the
3D.
strobe light? Yeah.
Yeah, in theaters. Saw
Practical
it 3D,
effects.
IMAX 3D. Fucking perfect scene. And I was like, dude, this is what a Star Wars movie would look like if it was nowadays. Kind of like, you know, what would Hendrix look like if he was playing guitar right now with, you know, all the technology and shit? And what would his music sound like? I thought it was greatly done. I applaud J.J. Abrams for bringing it back to life. And whenever I saw it in theaters, I'm like, dude, I'm into this movie. This is great. It's, you know, it's not poppy, kind of stupid, kind of like the prequels. I was into it. So I'm going to give it to The Force Awakens. Sure. Why not? 5-3, Force Awakens. Moving into impacts on pop culture. Jeff.
Man, all right. So I got to go with The Force Awakens here. I know Empire is kind of iconic because it showed that you can have a movie where the good guys don't really win in the end. But The Force Awakens really introduced Star Wars to an entirely new generation of fans who, if they did see the prequels, they were like, okay, what's like so special about this? And it just re-legitimized the franchise. And also, it brought Harrison Ford back to a role that we thought he would never play again, and he swore on every midichlorian that existed that he would never play again. So that's a pretty big – both those two things are pretty big for impact. So I go Force Awakens here.
Banner.
I'm going to go Empire on this one for what you just said is that it's a movie that doesn't end on a good note. The good guys don't win, but mainly for the fact of when has a movie, even back then, the ending of a movie not been spoiled or such a big plot twist as that not get spoiled? There were three people on set that knew what Luke was reacting to. The director, George Lucas, and Mark Hamill. And they kept that shit on wraps for like 18 months. That is huge. So I'm going Empire.
Great point.
Banner, checking the score. I believe it's 7-4 Empire.
7-4 Empire, yep.
I'm giving it to The Force Awakens, and this is why. We live in a Marvel world where we think this shit's easy, and it's not fucking easy. If you look at the DCU, you look at a lot of places like what Fox was going through with X-Men, it is hard to get old fans and new fans on board in the same movie and then both like it. Like I said, I was in this movie with a younger generation, my father's generation. We all walked out of Force Awakens being like, dude, that's fucking awesome. It had something for everybody. It had the old characters. It supported new characters. My little cousin was Kylo Ren for Halloween. And my parents wanted to see it because Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford was in it. And it was actually a good movie, and all their characters really worked, I thought, and that's really fucking hard to do. People take that for granted a lot. I think that they move out of that. So I'm going to give it to The Force Awakens on that. 7.5. Moving into rewatchability. This is a tough one because these are both really fucking good films. Jeff.
So Empire's greatest strength here, I think, is also its greatest weakness. Did Lou Holtz say that, or Jesus? They're basically the same person. And when I say that, I mean it's so dark that it's hard to go back and revisit it a bunch of times. And to Banner's point, after the Hoth scene, there's really not many. There's not an action set piece again until the lightsaber fight at the end. So there's like an hour and a half, maybe an hour, 15 minutes straight of character development, which I'm not complaining about. It's just harder to go rewatch it. So I'll go Force Awakens here. Banner.
7.6, by the way. We got a nail biter.
Wow.
I went Force Awakens as well.
Wow.
For this one, it's mainly, again, you said it. Empire is a dark movie. It doesn't end on a good note. Force Awakens kind of hits all of it. There's action set pieces. It's funny. It's serious. It holds your attention for the entire 2 hours that it's on. And it leaves me wanting more. Empire, it's dark. The ending is sad, and it still leaves me wanting more. But Force Awakens checks off more, so I've got to go Force Awakens on that.
7.7, we got a game. Brent Musburger was here, he'd be like, "You're looking live at the Bro Force Squad Star Wars tournament." And I got to break this time. So, as a fan of Darth Vader and the dark side, I got to go Empire, man. It's the movie I've been waiting for. And honestly, I've been on record saying it's the greatest Star Wars movie ever, and I still feel that way. I think Rogue One is actually a second. No, if you go back and listen to our Rogue One movie review that we did after opening night, I said that that's probably the greatest Star Wars movie I've ever seen in theaters, but I still think Empire is probably a better movie, but Rogue One is probably the second best movie, I think. But I'm moving Empire on 8-7. That's fucking tight, but it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what our fans think. We get votes in this too, but it was a fucking landslide. Empire 64% over 36%. So it's moving on to the second round. Now, we got two more movies, which is good and sad because one's good and the other one's sad. Movies ready. Return of the Jedi versus Revenge of the Sith. Jeff, acting cast.
All right. Jedi has to win. Again, Hayden Christensen botches the big turn, one of the biggest turns we ever wanted to see in movie history. And Natalie Portman was basically on her phone texting during scenes. She was so disinterested. I do love Ian McDiarmid as Palpatine. The dude basically played hurt. He had no help on his team. But I got to go Return of the Jedi here. Hamill is great in the darkness that he plays. And then they finally gave Leia something to do. So Return of the Jedi gets my vote for acting and cast.
Banner?
Yeah. Keep it simple. Return of the Jedi, they actually act and they care and they try. Other than Ewan McGregor, nobody does that in Revenge of the Sith.
I'm going Jedi too, just simply because of Hamill's turn. I thought it was fantastically done. Going into story, I'm going to give it to Revenge of the Sith. I know that they've tripped over a lot of fucking talking points and dialogue in this, but the story in this is actually fantastic. This is not the story to blame, it's just the dialogue that Lucas wrote. Jeff?
On paper, Revenge of the Sith, no doubt. But the game is played on the field, and Return of the Jedi has a story that can and will be beaten in this tournament, but it's not going to lose this point, mainly because of the execution and the, what have I done? Well, that's basically what Lucasfilm said when they cast Hayden Christensen, is what have I done? So I'll go Return of the Jedi for story.
Banner, 4-1.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith, like you said, it is a great story. It is what, when they announced we're doing the prequels and we knew what the premise was going to be, that is the moment that we were wanting, was the turn. And leading up to that, they just completely botched it. Whereas Return of the Jedi is a perfect culmination of both Luke's rise and learning about the Force, and Anakin's rise and learning about the Force. And Return is a perfect culmination of those two stories meeting at a head. So it has to go Return of the Jedi.
5-1. Jeff, take it with best scene.
All right. I'm going to go the Mustafar fight at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Two reasons. Number one, produced some of the greatest memes that the internet has ever seen. The stunt work was great, and then a little bonus point is anytime my girlfriend tries to argue with me about something like sports, I go, I have the high ground! And then she'll usually know to just back off. So the Mustafar fight at the end of Revenge of the Sith gets my point.
I'm going to take this because this is a perfect segue. I'm picking that too, just because whenever we get drunk together, I don't think we ever quote Return of the Jedi, but we always fucking quote Revenge of the Sith, no matter what the circumstances is. If it's a kid's t-ball game and we're drunk, we're like quoting Revenge of the Sith.
You are my brother, Geiger!
I loved you. He's like, in my point of view, Jeff, this is evil. Like I said,
we are lost!
In my point of view, I'd rather have the mozzarella sticks than the nachos for the appetizer. Banner. Bessie.
I'm going to cheat here, and I'm going to go with the end battle scene in Return of the Jedi. I know that's basically the entire third act, but the way that they have 3 fights in 3 different places all going on at once, bouncing back and forth, something that we've never seen before, and in my opinion has never been executed quite the same way. So I'm going Return of the Jedi, although I almost changed my vote solely on your guys' answers for that.
The meme. Man,
I know, they're fantastic.
The memes are perfect, man. Okay, 6-3 Jedi.
It's Obi-Wan, isn't
it? Because of Obi-Wan. Because of impacts on pop culture, Jeff, take it.
He's like, because of Obi-Wan, she's like, what? Where the fuck did you even come up with that? Impact, I gotta go Jedi. The only impact Sith had was basically killing this franchise for like 8 to 10 years. And basically killing George Lucas's desire to create and direct movies. And Return of the Jedi at the time, we thought it was the end of the trilogy and was a great bookend. So I will go Return of the Jedi for impact.
Banner?
Yeah, I'm going Jedi as well. I mean, this is a perfect movie and a perfect way to sum up not only the trilogy, but if you add the prequels in there, it sums up the entire story. Now, I know that we have the sequel trilogy now, which they've rebooted everything, but Jedi is a perfect way to end that story. I love also how people love to hate Revenge of the Sith. I think it cracks my shit up. People love to hate it.
8-3 Jedi. I agree with Jedi. It's really hard for trilogies for the third one to get it right. However, I'm going to go to Revenge of the Sith, and it's Jeff's fucking fault because I really believe that Mace Windu is going to come back in these movies. Don't shake your fucking head. You're the one that made me fucking read that.
No, it's not my theory, but I believe in it now.
Yeah, I really think he's Snoke. So if that happens, this movie is going to have a fucking huge impact on pop culture. So I'm going to put all my eggs in that basket. Fuck you, whatever. It's a fucking landslide anyway. It's 8-4. Going on to rewatchability. I have Jedi. Of course I have fucking Jedi. Jedi is an awesome movie. It's probably the greatest third act that we've ever gotten. Jeff?
Yeah, Jedi. I think, to Banner's point, the third act that they did in this, a lot of movies have emulated this. Even Rogue One did it, where you can feel the stakes with these epic battles happening in 3 different locales. And going back, it's kind of funny to watch the generic brand Han and Chewie with Lando and his little catfish friend. So, Return of the Jedi for rewatchability.
Banner?
Yeah, it's got to be Return of the Jedi. I've watched this Star Wars movie more than any other one as a kid. This one was my favorite growing up, where I think I like Empire a little bit better now. I didn't understand it. This movie is fun, and I've loved it since I was 8 years old and saw it for the first time. So, Return of the Jedi.
There you have it. We grade it 10-5 in favor of Return of the Jedi. Our fans grade it 62% to 38% in favor of Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi, moving on to the next round. To check out all of our content, broforsquad.com is your place. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. That's where you can vote, you can comment, you can get involved in this tournament because it's your vote that matters, not ours. Until then, we will see you later.
No!